Hey, hello, Cherie Louise Turner here. I'm the host and producer of Women's Running Stories, and I love a good night's sleep. I know it helps with my recovery, and it helps me to have great energy all day long. And the people at Lagoon know this too, and that is why they make terrific pillows. And they are offering listeners of Women's Running Stories 15% off on your first purchase. Just go to lagoonsleep.com and use the code WRS15 at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. Before you order, you're going to take a short sleep quiz to find out which of their pillows is best for you. I sleep on the Fox, and I love the fact that these pillows come with extra fill so you can add or remove fill as you like, making your pillow customizable. My Lagoon pillow is soft and it's comfortable and it has a nice weight to it. Of course, Lagoon makes their pillows with quality materials so you know they will last. Go on over to lagoonsleep.com and find the pillow that's right for you. That's lagoonsleep.com. Use the promo code WRS15 at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. All right, now on to the episode. You are listening to Women's Running Stories, where exceptional women runners share inspirational stories about their running experiences.
I'm Erika Kemp, a professional distance runner for Brooks.
Yes, in this episode, I am welcoming back professional distance runner for Brooks, Erika Kemp. And she's going to share how it all went down at the 2024 USATF 10k National Championships, which happened at the Cow Harbor 10k that just took place on September 21st in Northport, New York. But before we hear more from Erika, I do want to welcome you to Women's Running Stories. I am Cherie Louise Turner. I am the host and producer of this podcast. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for listening. You are in for a treat. Erika is so much fun to talk to, and she is such an exciting pro to cheer for. And it was terrific to see her have such a great performance at the 10K Champs. And I was excited to hear all about it. So I invited her back on the podcast to talk about how the race went for her and give some context around this performance. This is one of the WRS race reports. I do a race report for each one of the USATF road circuit races. And these are races that happen all throughout the country, all year long. And each one serves as a national championship for the type of race or the distance that is being run. In addition to going after a national title, runners are racing for cash prizes and also for points. And the points go to the series overall, which is determined at the end of the season. And we are getting close. The next race on the calendar is the 5K National Championships, and that's happening on November 2nd in New York City as part of the New York City Marathon weekend of racing. And it will be the final event for 2024. For each one of these races, I get the story from one top 10 finisher about how the race played out from her perspective, and because a race is never about just what happens on race day, you also hear some context around that race performance. This is the second time that Erika has been on WRS, and I am so happy to have her back. In her first appearance, Erika told the story more broadly of her racing career, and especially as she was leading up to race her very first marathon, which was the 2023 Boston Marathon. There, she ran an incredible 2 hours and 33 minutes. This qualified her for the Olympic Trials Marathon, which happened earlier this year, and it also made Erika Kemp the fastest American-born Black woman to run the marathon. She tops what is known as the list, and that is an accounting of all of the American-born Black women who have broken 3 hours in the marathon. In addition to that terrific marathon debut, Erika, of course, has a long history of great performances in shorter distances. And among the highlights, she is a two-time national champion. She won the 15-kilometer national championships in 2019. And in 2021, she won the 20-kilometer national championships. And Erika has also won the event that is featured in this episode, the Cow Harbor 10k, in 2021, and that was before it was a national championship event. Now, in addition to all of these stellar championship performances, Erika, of course, has had her share of races that did not go her way. And in particular at the 2021 Olympic trials, where she raced both the 10,000-meter event and the 5,000-meter event. She talks about this in her previous WRS episode, and she also mentions it here. So coming into 2024, one goal was to have a better experience at the Olympic trials. And for Erika, this go around, now that she's a marathon runner and she had qualified for the Olympic marathon trials, she set her sights on running that race. That was back in February, and unfortunately, things did not go to plan. So she and her coach, Kurt Benninger, decided to switch things up and go after the 10,000-meter event at the Track and Field Olympic Trials, which happened in June. Erika will touch on that race in this episode as well, but I'll just note here, she had a better experience. And a little something here too, you'll hear Erika mention we from time to time, and she's referring to Coach Benninger. And this is something I hear from just about every pro runner I've talked to. And it's a reminder that while these athletes do compete on their own, I mean, running is an individual sport. Behind the scenes, they often have coaches who play a really important role in their training and their racing. A couple of additional notes here. Erika mentions many of the top women in the 10K, including Kira D'Amato, Emma Grace Hurley, and Natasha Rogers, as well as her Brooks teammates Amanda Vestry and Jess McLean, who has been having a stellar season. She got fourth at the Olympic Trials Marathon, which means that she was the alternate for the Olympic team, and she has been racing really well. McLean will have another go at the marathon distance coming up at the New York City Marathon that first weekend of November, which Erika alludes to here in her story. Erika also mentions her friend and top professional runner, McKenna Morley. All right, let's get to it. Let's hear from Erika about her experiences in and around the 2024 USATF 10K National Championships. Here to tell her story, beginning with those early months of 2024 coming into this Olympic year, is Erika Kemp.
I mean, it's in an Olympic year, you don't really have the luxury of like opting out of it. And the marathon trials, just like, it was not my day. Like I did not finish them. And we just didn't want to leave 2024 with such like a negative experience at an Olympic trials, because I also had like a pretty negative experience in 2021. I doubled. I probably shouldn't have doubled. And I had like some like personal stuff going on. And it was just like leaving the Olympic trials with like such a like bad taste in my mouth and like not, you know, being excited about being there or like wanting to do it was just not what we were going for. So it was a pretty easy decision to like pivot and focus on the 10 because it's a nice little reprieve from like the long marathon training. So like having a fresh goal and different training, it literally just kind of refreshed like everything, like mentally, physically. I like had new life. It was so nice to just like go out and like have some fun with it because I hadn't run on the track in a couple years. So it was like, it felt brand new again, which was really nice because when things are super new, you don't really have a ton of expectation, even though like we are talking about like the Olympic trials. But it was like a fun like journey back because it wasn't so monotonous and it was like exciting. And then when we got to the trials, it was like you really just wanted to have a good experience, whatever that meant. And I was really proud of the race I ran. And we were able to like walk away from that, having accomplished our goal of like having a positive experience and like being physically in a good place. And then it was just time for like a little break from all of it and just to like set ourselves up for a really good like non-Olympic year.
Erika took a well-needed break in July, and she was ready to get back to training in August. It was time to build back fitness, and one strategy for this is training at altitude. For Erika, however, her experiences with altitude training in the past have not gone great.
So it was a really good time to test the waters of altitude again after taking my break in July. And because I was like just so nervous about going back, when you only go for camps that are like 3 to 6 weeks long, it's really hard to, adjust because you're not there super long. So it's difficult to figure out like how hard you should be training because you're not recovering quite as fast as you would at sea level. But like there are days where you feel good enough to do your exact same workouts back home. And I think in previous altitude stints probably just overdid it and just came out really fatigued and really burnt out. I was like, I'll go, but I want to go like somewhere that I'm comfortable with, even though like I'd never been to Bozeman. I love McKenna Morley. She's so sweet and like so much fun. So I was like, I know I would love to train with her. We've like been joking about training together for like 2 years. And we finally made it happen. And also one of my really good friends from college also just happens to live in Bozeman, Montana, of all places. So I just felt really comfortable like going there. And it's also like 5,000 feet, which isn't as crazy as like your Park Cities or your Flagstaff. So everything about it just felt like it'd be a really good place to like test those waters again. So Kurt was just really mindful of like my training while I was up there. Like he didn't have me running like 100 miles a week. I only did one workout a week and one long run per week just to like really make sure we weren't like overdoing it. And McKenna and I did a few of our long runs together, and like long runs are tough. I mean, you're out there for a long time. You're like physically and mentally exhausted by the end, but being able to do it like side by side, step for step, with your friend makes them so much more enjoyable and so much easier. And we just had a really good month up there. And I came home in September feeling pretty good. So I think we nailed it. Yeah, this race is kind of at like the very beginning of this like next 4 or 5 month block for me. So it really didn't give us like a ton of time to do a lot of those like big race type workouts you'd want to do. But at the same time, like we came off of break super like healthy, which is great. And like energy levels are where they should be. So it was like a really fun way to kind of kickstart my next training block.
Erika was coming into the 10K refreshed, but she was also just starting to ramp up her training. She'd had that rest in July, the altitude base training camp in August, and she hadn't raced since the trials. But while she may not have been lining up in peak fitness, she was rejuvenated, and she had the extra boost of her Brooks teammates.
So my Brooks teammates are Jess McLean and Amanda Vestry, who is the newest to Brooks, but she's young and absolutely crushing it. But it's super like comforting having those people there, even though we like live in different states, we have different coaches, we have different training, but just being on the start line with some familiar faces or having people you can like warm up and cool down with, and just the caliber of athletes that they are, being able to run with them in a race is just really like reassuring. And I also really like them. So it makes it more fun to like be out there and like, having that experience with people you also like.
But here's the thing about running teammates is they're also your competitors.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because we really didn't talk about the literal race itself much at all, because we were all going there with the intention of trying to win. So it is like not uncomfortable, but just like funny when you all have the exact same goal, but only one person can win. So we really didn't talk specifically about like what our personal race plans were. We were just like, trying to be relaxed and just like enjoying being out there.
And while Erika knew she wasn't totally race ready fitness-wise, mentally, she was ready to go.
I feel like this one was kind of hard because I have won this race in the past and it's a US championship. So you always want to be super competitive, but you also have to be a little realistic in that like I probably hadn't quite done all the race type work that I needed to like win on the day. But with, all of the pre-race interviews and stuff, talking about how we were going to have this epic race and it was going to be a course record, it just like had me so excited that like I wanted to go for it anyways and just see if it was there.
Erika would find out in short order if it was there, because soon enough it was race day. All that was left to do was some final race prep before lining up.
Outside of just my normal like warm up and run, which I prefer to do with people versus like by myself, just to like stay relaxed and like my normal drills and strides, I just really like to, be as relaxed as possible on that start line, which usually means, like interacting with the other people in the race. And I'm talking about like the non-professional athletes and just kind of like keying off of like their vibes. Like at Cow Harbor, there were people in like cow onesies and so many like spectators. So, just kind of like looking for things that like are fun and like kind of like allow you to relax a little bit. Like seeing someone in a cow onesie will definitely remind you that like it's not that serious, even though it is like a very serious championship race. And yeah, the village of Northport absolutely loves that race and they have so much fun with it. And they definitely put more pressure on us this year than I'd say they had in past years, just because of like the caliber of the women's field. They told us so many times they were expecting a course record. And that course is so hard that you're like, that's asking a lot. The hills just keep going up and down. Like it's just such a like relentless course. Like by the time you finish an up or a down and like try to gather yourself, you're already doing another one. But that also makes it like super fun. And we were all really excited to like go for it. So this was the first time I'd run Cow Harbor as a championship race where we weren't like mixed in with the masses, which was like a very chaotic start a few years ago, just because you line yourselves up. So you're always lined up with like, the local heroes and like high school boys who are like, oh, women, I should surely be in front of them because they just don't realize how fast you're going to be. But this one was different because it was just the elite women and the elite men. But the way they had us on the start line, they had the elite women on like what was our left. And there's a big median, like 50, 60 meters right off the start line. And the first turn comes up pretty quick and it's a right. So all the women needed to get over to the right side of the road. So I was just thinking about getting over to the right without tripping anyone or running into the boys. And I for sure got out a little too hard, but like, it is what it is. Everyone stayed on their feet and we survived that first turn. But yeah, I felt like they held us a little longer than I was expecting after they said set. Because if you had a clear view of me when they said like runners set and we were waiting for the gun to go off, I literally stumbled in my like starting position because I was just like way too tense. But yeah, those like few moments where you're waiting for the gun to go off are so uncomfortable. For sure, like everyone wanted it to be like a fast race. Like it was for sure going to be like a course record to win it. And to do that, just the way the course runs, you need to get out really hard just because we needed to get over to the right and make that first turn. And everyone did that like pretty smoothly, but we're definitely running like a little fast just because you just got off the line. But the way Cow Harbor runs is before you have the chance to like slow down and find your rhythm, you are just falling downhill. It is like the scariest, the longest downhill I think I've ever run, which is probably not true. There's probably worse ones in Boston. I just don't remember it. But that just like keeps it rolling and makes you go like faster and faster, and you're like not even a mile into the race yet. So then your first mile is so fast, but you can't let up, and like you still don't really have any time to breathe, because at this point you have this long like 1 mile climb up to the top. And Natasha was really going for that. There's like a Queen of the Hill bonus at 5K, and I'm like, we're all just like trying to like, you know, stay connected, like stay in the lead pack. Like this is a championship race, and like literally no one's letting up. So like you have to just commit and you have to keep like pushing. And we did. And there were like 5 of us, I want to say, for the majority of the race. Like I remember being with Amanda, and then so I could see her. I knew Jess was there. Emma Grace is literally always there. And I could see Natasha, and the only one I couldn't see was Kira, which was just like in the, like haunting me for the entirety of the race, especially when it got really hard. I was like, oh my gosh, where is Kira? And Natasha was pushing for that 5K. So then you really couldn't let up. But coming off of that, I definitely personally started to feel it and was like, oh, I don't know if I've done enough work for this, but like, we're gonna keep charging. Like there are some people who are really, really good at hurting for like a very long time. And that's not necessarily me. Like all of my best days and my best races don't feel like such a grind. It's like everything is like flowing and clicking, and you just like feel amazing and you run amazing. So I've definitely struggled in the past with like when it gets uncomfortable. And honestly speaking, I don't enjoy it. But at least like, you know, moving to the marathon and just like getting older and more experienced, you just kind of remember that like you're not gonna die. Like you've done the work, even though like I might not have done all the workouts I wanted to, or I'm not in the perfect place in training to go out there and race. I have so many miles under my belt. I've done these races before. Like there's no good reason that like something's gonna go catastrophically wrong if I just keep running. So when it starts to get super hard, I literally just start to break it down, like just, you know, just 2 more minutes, and then like check in. And then it's just like, just another 2 minutes. And like the next thing you know, like the race is almost over, your body's doing fine. And like, yeah, like you're breathing super hard and your legs are super tired, but you're okay. So yeah, I just like tell myself I'm not actually gonna die. When I like start to like panic, you're like, oh my God, like I feel horrible. It's like, yeah, you feel horrible, but like you're still actually running really fast. And I remember kind of really feeling it after like 4-ish miles. But then there was like a band playing some like, it wasn't Smash Mouth, but it was something really similar right around mile 5 when I like desperately needed some motivation because we had just done another uphill climb. But that was when I was like, everyone had their it's all downhill from here signs like towards that 6 mile. And like, that's actually true, thankfully. So then I was able to like close hard, and the whole time I could see everyone in front of me. I could see, I almost caught Emma Grace, but I could see how far ahead Jess was. And I was like, wow, she's gonna run so well in New York. Was like all I was thinking from like the back of the hills. Heading into the finish, I was feeling a bit better than I had like in the middle of the race, just because obviously like you're finishing. So like you're not so overwhelmed by what you're trying to do in the moment. You're like, oh, I only have like 2 more minutes of running left. So you can really just kind of like, you know, empty the tank and just finish really strong. And it's just happened before where like you're out there on the roads, everyone's like screaming into the finish, so you really can't hear like footsteps behind you. And someone gets you in the last like 300 meters. And the whole time since I hadn't seen Kira in front of me, I knew she had to be somewhere behind me. I just like had absolutely no idea how close, and it ended up only being like 3 seconds, which is, I would die to see Kira's final splits because I was super stoked with my final split. And I was like, oh my God, what did she do in those last like 600 meters? But you always have to, you know, finish all the way through the line just in case. Yeah, I finished and I was super happy with it. It was faster than I'd ever run on that course. I was fourth, which was like an awesome return to like a US championship, especially like a road championship 10K, which like should very much be in my wheelhouse. So like going into it feeling like a little underprepared, I was like super stoked to kind of like race a little above my current fitness level and like still be like competitive with these women because it was such a good field. I think it went a lot better than I expected it to, having had so much time off of like racing. And, you know, my last race at the trials was like way better than like the previous races, but still it is a little daunting when you haven't raced in a while. So I think, you know, my coach and I talked about it like before the race, like having had so much time off from it, we really just wanted to like get reacquainted with how much racing or how uncomfortable racing is, because it's so much harder than practice. And it's just like a level of hurt that we just like don't do very often. So I think focusing on like leaning into how uncomfortable you're supposed to be when you're like actually like giving 100% effort really helped me on the day, because I got way more out of myself than I thought. Like that's a course PB for me. And like when I ran my course PB previously, I was in like peak fitness. So like to be in that place like right now, like I wouldn't even call it a rust buster. I feel like that would be like a disservice to that race. I'm super happy with being there in September. And then, yeah, like talking to Jess, like it was somehow her like first national title, which was so exciting because she's so good. And it was great. I mean, Amanda is like gearing up for like Valencia half. So we're all just like in very different places, like training wise. So like this race kind of like impacts you a little different or like means something different. So it was nice to just, you know, have those people to process all your thoughts and feelings with on the cool down, which is the benefit of like having teammates, even if you like only see them at races. But yeah, it was good vibes out there.
That does bring us to the end of Erika Kemp's race report on women's running stories. Thank you so much, Erika, for coming on the podcast once again and sharing your story. I really appreciate it, and it is such a joy to talk to Erika Kemp. A huge congratulations also to Erika on a great race. And very soon, Erika will be racing another 10K. She's going to be lining up for the Boston 10K for women on October 12th. This is a race she has won before in 2022, and I wish her the best of luck. She also has a half marathon coming up, and she will be gearing up to race another marathon early next year. You can keep up with Erika Kemp's training and racing through her social media. Of course, look to the show notes, and I will provide a link to how you can do that. And to wrap up this race report, here is the rundown of the top 10 for the USATF 10K National Champs. Jessica McLean did come in first. She ran a 31:40, which broke the previous course record by 13 seconds. That course record was set in 2022 by Stephanie Bruce. She ran a 31:53. And another note here is that this was also a championship record. The previous mark of 31:46 was set in Boston by Marla Runyon in 2002. So a big congratulations to Jess McLean on that. In second place at this 10K was Natasha Rogers, followed by Emma Grace Hurley. Erika came in fourth, followed by Kira D'Amato. In sixth place was Erika's other teammate, Amanda Vestry, followed by Annie Rodenfels, Katie Izzo, Anna Marie Costarellis, and rounding out the top 10 was Hannah Egan. Coming in to the very last race of the Road Circuit Series this year, Emma Grace Hurley is in the lead with 60 points. She is followed by Rachel Smith with 50 points, Annie Frisbee at 46 points, Emily Durgan with 39 points, and rounding out the top 5 for the series overall is Jess McLean with 34 points. For sure, the 5K will be an incredible race. It is always super competitive, and it's a big, exciting race there in New York City, the day before the New York City Marathon. Be sure to subscribe to Women's Running Stories so you do not miss the race report for that 5K or any of the other fantastic running stories, which come out every single Tuesday. And that is going to do it for me. This is Cherie Louise Turner signing off for this week. I am the host and producer of Women's Running Stories. And until next Tuesday, I wish you joyful, healthy strides forward. Women's Running. Women's Running Stories.
There is no hood like parenthood. When you meet a fellow parent, you just kind of get each other on a whole nother level. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. I interview changemakers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, aka their mom sense and dad sense. I've had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton.
It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
Episodes release every Thursday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Join my tribe at that'stotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you.